And so I think at that point, I remember making a phone call to my mum at the time, and I signed a contract that basically signed everything away. And, you know, not having the knowledge, being naive in business, I basically just signed over a lot of my assets to my business partner without really knowing what I was doing. So that was a big thing for me, and I lost everything. And so I called my...
So you got cheated by this person?
Yeah. So I called my mum, and mum seemed to have these sixth sense. It's like, so when I was talking to her, I said, you know, Mum, I think I've got something to tell you, and, you know, I think I've lost everything. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, just come home and I'll make you some dinner. And I'm like, what? So I remember moving back, that whole process of going back home, and really having to swallow everything, after swallowing everything, mm-hmm. and all those people that were saying, oh yeah, now I can see their faces, oh, I told you so, I told you so, and I knew you were going to fail. And so when I got to that point, I was like, and I remember moving back into my mum's spare bedroom. I mean, the bedroom was so small that when you open the door would hit the bed, and it was actually a sofa bed. I remember sleeping in there for 6 months. But you know what? At that point, I decided, you know, all my friends were laughing at me. Oh yeah, I told you so. And I had a choice: either I carry on doing what I do, mm-hmm. or I go back to a job, mm-hmm. right? And so sometimes you just got to sometimes stop thinking about what other people think of you and just think about what you do yourself.
Hi, I'm Pavlina Papalouka, and I'm here with someone very special for my life, my mentor, John Lee, the Wealth Dragon. He's known as the founder and CEO of Wealth Dragons PLC. He's an international speaker, business mentor, motivator, founder of multiple businesses. And I got this Facebook notification. It's been 4 years.
4 years? Has it been 4 years
yeah,
already?
Since
wow.
we met on Facebook. Yeah. We connected on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I had heard about the Wealth Dragons, of course. I'm like, oh, it's the Wealth Dragons guy.
Yeah.
You know? And then about 2-3 months later, after we connected, I was like, wow, I need to get him to mentor me, because we start talking on Skype, because I'm a promoter.
Yeah.
And I wanna show the more, you know, real John Lee today, not the business owner and the motivator. What is going on in John Lee's mind, on the background, rather than talk about business in this interview. We've run many seminars together, and we teach people, you know, business skills, branding, social media. But who is John Lee really? What made you do what you do today? What made you get started to, you know, come from a very humble background, from a family of immigrants, Chinese immigrants, working in your parents' Chinese takeaway, and then go and build a multi-million-dollar business? What made you stand out and do that, and you know, have this passion that you have today?
I think the big thing for me is education.
Uh-huh.
So when I had to stumble my way through it and try and find out how to do it myself, I made a lot of mistakes. I had a lot of ups and downs. I went through a lot of rough periods, and it pains me to see somebody else go through that. Like when I speak to people and they tell me they've done this thing, I was like, oh my God, why did you do that? Why didn't you do it this way? And then I realized that people, they do it by trial and error. And so one of the reasons why I do what I do now is because I know there's a shortcut to get to where they want to get to. And so I always believe that if you have knowledge that's in your head that's going to make a difference to people's lives, then it's your duty to give it. And so that's why I continue to, you know, put out videos, you know, write books, fly around the world. And I built a whole app on this now, you know, to really empower 1 billion lives around the world.
Was there like a specific moment in your life that you made that decision, you found your purpose, let's say, of what you're doing today? Was there a specific moment or event or something that happened? Or was it a series of events?
No, it was just kind of, everyone just kept asking me. And I was like, why do people keep asking me? And I remember one time, you know, I signed up to this property course, and I got a property mentor. And I remember buying my first house, and, you know, we bought that house for, you know, 85,000. We sold it for 185,000. When we told people the story, we got asked to share it. At the end of it, I just thought, okay, I'm just doing what I do. But so many people after that event came up to me and said, "Oh my God, John, I was so inspired by your story." And I think everybody has a story, and I think that's the event that I remember standing
that
particular event when I
yeah.
stood there, and I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, I said, "How was that? Was I fumbling?" She said, "Oh, you were amazing." So I got a lot of encouragement from her to kind of step up and really share this message. And I thought, wow, well, if these people are inspired, maybe I can help other people as well. And it's coming from that premise of helping people and adding value to people's lives.
And you're a person who has a big vision and lives your purpose. And many people wander around lost, and they live someone else's purpose and someone else's vision for themselves. How did you find your purpose? Because you're so aligned to your skills, to who you truly are, and you go and you build around that, and you don't build for somebody else. How did you connect to that purpose?
I think one of the biggest things for me, I heard a saying once. The saying was, if you reach for the stars, because one thing is for sure, you won't come up with a handful of mud. And so that saying to me was, well, and someone else said, if you're going to think, you may as well think big. It doesn't cost you anything more to think bigger, right? And so what I realized, though, that the bigger you think, the bigger you have to be. Like your business can only grow to as big as you can grow.
As you grow.
Right? So the more you develop yourself, and that's why still to today, like this morning before coming here, and we're doing this interview now, and we're running the conference here, I was listening to audiobooks in the morning. I had half an hour of audiobooks, listening to wisdom and really learning. So I think the whole point of life is really to be the best version of you.
So it's all about growing yourself, developing, and then your purpose finds you.
Yeah, because what happens
naturally comes to you.
Because what happens when you have a big vision, you also have to ask the question, okay, what do I need to achieve that big vision? You see? And then so you start to acquire the skills you need, you start to acquire the contacts you need, you start to acquire the team that you need. And when you have that big, it's like a magnet, it's like a beacon. You put the beacon out there, and then it just attracts all the opportunities to you. Like, when we, I spent £2 million building an app, right? And, but I didn't do that myself. I had a whole team of people that was constantly developing, researching all the server speeds, converting all the videos. Like every time like we play a video, it has to get replicated. So
how do you create that pool and you create an amazing team?
By constantly putting the message out there, by constantly adding for help. Like if you're always adding help and adding value and asking for help, you'll attract, like for example,
if you then say what you need, it's not gonna come.
I'll tell you a crazy thing that happened recently. So my background is the film industry. So I always wanted to be in films, but no one ever cast me into the films. I don't know why, but it just happened. So I thought, one day I want to write my own film. We just finished a script for our feature film, and when I announced it, I told people, and then all of a sudden directors are getting in touch with me. Very famous actors and actresses are contacting me, adding me on Instagram. I'm getting producers contact me. So just by putting the message out there, I think it's because I have a distribution platform.
You build your brand first.
Correct.
And then not because you educated yourself on what you need to do to make your vision a reality.
Correct.
You can have a vision to, be in film, but then if you don't go after it and build. But if you keep building and growing, it comes to you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's what happened to me, and that's how you came to me, and you mentored me, and we met, and we created these bootcamps because it was exactly the same. I wanted to start this business because I saw how many mistakes I was making, and I wanted to educate people with mentors to avoid those mistakes. And I remember when we met, and it was 4 years after I started this business, but I still wasn't there. I wasn't on the right track. I think I was looking for help, and then you decided to mentor me. So why did you decide to mentor me? Because we had spent a lot of time together and we built things. What was that made you decide to mentor me?
I think it's, you know when you meet people, you already know whether they're a doer, right, or a dabbler, right? And so straight away when I spoke to you, your persistence of contacting, your persistence of, doing things and making them work, I knew that you weren't a dabbler. You weren't someone who was going to say you're going to do something and then do it. And so that for me, like, time is the most precious asset. So if I want to spend time with people, it's got to be the people that are going to make the best use of the time. Like there's so many times that, I coach people, I give them advice, I see them a year later, I say, did you do what I told you to do? No, I'm still thinking about it. And so in a way, I feel saddened by that because it's...
Because you give them the knowledge, you give them everything, and then they don't...
It's like, here's the plan, follow the plan. right? And if you just do exactly what I tell you to do and you work hard at it, you put the time in and you put the effort in, results come.
So what are the characteristics of the most successful mentees? You have like the top 3, 4 characteristics, like that you choose people. They have to have these 3 characteristics.
Well, they've definitely got to be coachable. Right? So sometimes people have ego. Like they've been in business. You know what? You give them feedback. Yeah, I know better than you. I say, okay, well, you know, I'm just giving you my 2 cents. So getting rid of the ego. That's the first thing. Second thing, that they've got to be action takers. Meaning, and it's not when the action's got to be done quick. It has to be done within, you know, a very short space of time of acquiring that knowledge, because otherwise you start losing momentum. So you've got to have that. And the third thing I look for is just people, just nice people, you know, just kind people, people who don't take themselves too seriously. They treat other people with respect. You know, it's interesting on the plane here, you know, we flew business, and the person next to me had a baby, and the husband was sat on the other side. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know this is, because I traveled with a baby before. So I just said to the husband, I said, hey, you want to swap seats? And he said, really? I said, yeah, why not? And then the guys who were queuing up, they said, oh, you're such a gentleman. I'm like, well, no, it's what you should do. You know, it's what's right. So it's, you know, that person comes and sits down, and then people are like, oh, can you help me with my bags? Yeah, you know. So it's little things like that. Like, you just be a human being.
Yeah, they say that, you know, if you want to work with somebody, if you want to see if they're a nice person, go take them for dinner, see how they behave with the waiters. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentor people, you created all this success, but I'm sure you have, and you've had very difficult moments and fears and all these things going on in the background.
Yeah.
So what was one very difficult moment in your business that nearly broke you? If you want to share, and how did you, what happened and how did you overcome it?
Well, there's 2 big events that happened in my life. One is when I lost £4.2 million. Yep. Oh. And the next one is where my father disowned me. So these are 2 things that happened in my life. And I think coming to the first one, that was a big thing, because when you start business, your friends will start supporting you to start with. And when you start getting successful, they start to get a little bit envious. They start to make funny comments that, why did you say that? You know, I thought you were my friend. You know who your true friends are. You know, they say the people that, you know, don't only, you know, march in my parade when it's sunny. Yeah. You know, march when it's raining. And so I think at that point, I remember making a phone call to my mum at the time, and I signed a contract that basically signed everything away. And, you know, not having the knowledge, being naive in business, I basically just signed over a lot of my assets to my business partner without really knowing what I was doing. So that was a big thing for me, and I lost everything. And so I called my...
So you got cheated by this person?
Yeah. I mean, I called my mum, and mum seemed to have these 6th sense. It's like, so when I was talking to her, I said, you know, Mum, I think I've got something to tell you, and, you know, I think I've lost everything. And she said, well, just come home and I'll make you some dinner. And I'm like, what? So I remember moving back, that whole process of going back home, and really having to swallow everything, after swallowing everything, and all those people that were saying, oh yeah, now I can see their faces, oh, I told you so, I told you so, I knew you were going to fail. And so when I got to that point, I was like, and I remember moving back into my mum's spare bedroom. I mean, the bedroom was so small that when you open the door would hit the bed, and it was actually a sofa bed. I remember sleeping in there for 6 months. But you know what? At that point, I decided, you know, all my friends were laughing at me. Oh yeah, I told you so. And I had a choice. Either I carry on doing what I do, or I go back to a job, right? And so sometimes you just got to sometimes start thinking about what other people think of you, and just think about what you do yourself. So other people laughed at me back then, you know, of my stupid ideas and the things that happened and the things that went wrong. I'm now laughing at their lifestyle, you know? So it's kind of like...
But you need to keep that vision strong.
You got to keep it vision. You got to be, and you know the thing that was really...
And how do you do that? Because most people can't.
You know what it is?
They get influenced so easily.
It's knowledge. It's knowledge.
Just keep educating yourself.
I knew I had the knowledge. I knew I had, because if I can do it for somebody else, I can do it for me. Right? And so that was the key for this. That was like the biggest, you know, asset I acquired. In fact, I'm happy that happened to me, because I wouldn't be here today. You
I
know,
mean, most people, when they get cheated, they say, oh, it's so hard finding a business partner. And then they get disappointed and they keep attracting the same experience. But then you found your now business partner, Vincent, and you build great things together. And I've seen you together and you're such a perfect, complementary match to each other. I'm sure you have challenges as business partners.
all the time.
But how did you go from that place to the place where you have the right business partner and you choose the right people? What is the switch that happens? Because I've been in that state when I had the wrong people around me, had to get rid, and I'm still building the right team and the right people.
Pavlina, there's no easy way. It's a constant battle. Every single day is a battle. You see there's something with your clients, something with the business, something regulations changed. It's a constant evolution. That's what really entrepreneurs should be called, evolution, because that's really what it is.
So it's always things happening.
Yeah. Always,
but
every time.
How do you keep growing? You just keep the vision strong.
Because the problems force you to grow.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
You should see the problems as an opportunity to grow then, because that's your mindset.
Exactly, it is.
Not everyone sees it like that.
Like for example, when someone says to you, "Oh yeah," I mean, when we first talked about floating our business on the stock exchange, no one would give us the money to float. Because they said the businesses are revolved around you two. Like if something happens to you two, what happens? I thought, and I was angry at first because I knew I had a great business and something great that we could offer. But at the same time, it's like, they got a point.
I've heard this before from investors.
Right. They've got a point. So that over the last 3.5 years, we've switched our business now. So it's not reliant on me. Like, I don't have to be here.
So you learn from the feedback you get and you don't take it as, people don't.
It's a learning point.
Yeah. You learn something and then you grow from that.
There's this, I forget the saying, but every time that I was rejected from something, it was actually a way of telling me how, something new was coming.
Yeah.
That's how you got to look at it.
And that's because you have that mindset. And I have cultivated that mindset. I wasn't like that. And then I would, I think having people like you next to me, that's why I feel so important to have a mentor and to have a network of people like you, like-minded people who are growing themselves to support you. And what is your biggest fear or fears that maybe keeps you up sometimes at night?
Personally, is not becoming like my parents. So when I was working in Chinese takeaway, I didn't see my parents till 11 years old, and I thought, I want to be a good father. So now I've just had a daughter, and so I try and spend so much time with her. I guess my biggest fear is not spending enough time with her and giving her the attention with what I've got. I think personally that's and also having that family balance and the life. And I guess for business is that not reaching what being the best version of me. The worst thing that can happen, you get to your deathbed and you look back and you go, oh my God, I regret I didn't do that. Like the biggest thing for me is like not putting all my effort, because I think a lot of people live like they've got 500 years to live. There is a sense of urgency. Yeah, I know a lot of people talk about patience, but I think it's good to have a sense of urgency. Things get done quicker. You start to get results faster. And a lot of people talk about it's okay to be patient in terms of waiting for the result, but you still have to have an urgency as well at the same time in order to ensure things are done. That's the key.
Okay. So like Steve Jobs said, you have to think you're going to, I don't remember how he said it, but you're going to die tomorrow. Yeah. Everyone is going to die. So you live with that thing in mind, and you have this, you don't think you're going to die. I don't like it either.
I don't think anyone wants to die, but just to know that, when that day comes, anything that's a worry on your mind now just fades away.
Because you lived your purpose, you lived a full life, you've done your best.
I'll give an example in life. Like something happens in your life, out of like something simple like, someone cuts you up on the road and you get a lot of road rage and it's on your mind, then something else happens in your life, like someone's just called you at an accident, that suddenly becomes a worry of priority. That's exactly how it works when it comes to fear. After all, fear stands for you can face everything and rise, or you can face everything and run.
Right.
You see?
So mindset.
Your choice. It's choice.
So last question, if somebody is watching us right now and they're going like through the worst, lowest moment of their business, they feel nothing is working, they tried everything, they're at the lowest, they're at the floor. And most entrepreneurs go at that place, as you and me know.
Yeah.
What what do you advise them to do? What is your advice, your message to them?
Well, my message is congratulations, because the universe is now giving you an opportunity to grow, you know? And I think that is the key. It's like, I don't care where you are right now. You know, I was hugely inspired. I mean, I'm a big Marvel fan. You know, I love superhero movies. I mean, I'm the biggest geek. And when you look at the story of Marvel almost went bankrupt. In 1996, they fired all their staff. They were producing magazines, comics, like sort of like magazine style, like really glossy, high quality, but no one was buying it. And someone turned around one day and said, you know what, people are not reading comics, they are watching films. You need to turn your comics into films. And so they said, don't be so ridiculous. No one's going to do that. And so let's test it. So they sold off one of the best characters, which is Spider-Man, right? They sold it to Sony. And that movie grossed like, I think it's something on the region of 3 billion. And they only made like 30 million of it. And they were like, no way. So they had these deals to sell off Iron Man and sell off Thor. And at that point, right before they were going to sell off those characters, they decided to make the movies themselves. Right, so when Iron Man hit the theaters, they made like 9 billion, and then Disney bought them for 30 billion, and boom, a company that almost went bankrupt suddenly became, you know, the highest grossing superhero movies of all time. You know, one of their films that they launched, which broke history, made $1 billion in the box office in a week. You know, that's unheard of for a superhero movie. And so I always believe that, and Vincent always says this to me, it's like this saying that it ain't over till the fat lady sings. You know, and I always remember that as long as you've got a breath, as long as you're breathing, you still have a chance.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for being my mentor and supporting in everything and my growth, and always being there, even as you're getting busier and busier, and looking forward to the years to come and see how you will grow and I will grow, and we will meet along the way. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
having me. Can I give you a hug?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, this is Pavlina. Thank you for watching this interview with John Lee that was filmed at our Entrepreneur Bootcamp in Cyprus in 2019. If you found this video useful and interesting and inspiring, make sure you subscribe here on my YouTube channel to stay updated with all my new videos and interviews with world-class experts to help you with mindset, business, entrepreneurship, health and wellness, everything you need to succeed and thrive under any economic conditions and any environment. And make sure you check out my other videos here on my YouTube channel, because I'm sure you're gonna find a lot more inspiration. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.